Welcome back. In this video we are going to set up our first screen for our Happy Places app because of course we need to have our start activity or our main activity from which we then go to adding new screens, and of course here we will have later on our recycler view with all of the Happy Places that we have already added. But for now let's just prepare the project because we are going to need quite some stuff here. So let's get started by calling this one Happy Places. All right, and you can of course call it as you want. I'm using API 21 here and I'm pressing finish here to get started. As soon as the Gradle is done preparing the project or loading the project, we can get started. And the first thing that I would like to do is I would like to create the right color theme, because here this is the default color theme that we see, but I would like to have a different one. And in order to get a color theme that really works together, what you can do is you can check out websites which give you advice on great colors that work together, which are color palettes. And here's an example of such a website. So I just googled color palettes or beautiful color palettes and this site comes up, and then you can see that there are a bunch of different color palettes that you can use, and the colors, they are very harmonious together and they work very well together. All right, so here you can choose any color that you like. As you can see, you have the color code down there, which you can then use for your colors. All right, so whatever you prefer, you can use it. You can see very many different color palettes here. I personally will probably go, well, I thought about the lollipop one, but I think I will go with this one here, number 3. Even though, of course, you can take any color. It's going to be fine anyways. All right, so let's copy those colors here and go back to our project. So what I'm going to do for now is I'm going to put them in here as a comment, and then we can come back to this later on. Okay, but I'm just going to use the first colors here already, and we can then of course change and add as we need them. All right, so this is how we're going to start, and later on, as I said, we will add some more colors. Okay, then the next thing is I would like to add a dependency to our application so that we can use the floating button. Of course, we could have gone like this. We could have created a new project using the basic activity, but then it comes with a lot of overhead and I wanted to keep it very simple. So what we need to do is we just need to add something in our build.gradle module app, and which is a dependency. So I'm just going to add it here to the implementations, which was going to be our Android material 1.00, which in the end allows us to use material design, which is pretty cool, and that includes the fab button, so this add button. Once you're done here, you can press sync now in order to sync the new implementation, and the application will be prepared for this. All right, the next thing that I would like to do is I would like to adjust my layout. So in activity main, I would like to have a fab button. So I'm just going to get rid of this text view, and instead of a constraint layout, I'm going to use a frame layout. So here, frame layout, this one here. And then I would like to have a floating action button. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paste it in here, because you have seen floating action buttons before. So you can see we're using the floating action button, which has an ID fab add happy place, which stands for floating action button add happy place. And then it's going to wrap its content. The gravity is going to be to the bottom end, which means to the bottom right hand side. And then as you can see, I'm using the layout margin here, which is a dimension. So we need to create this new fab margin dimension. So let's create this diamond value resource fab margin. And here you can enter a resource value, and I'm going to set that to 16 dp. Okay, let's store that in dimensions. So you can see it created this new file called dimensions, and in here we will have all of our dimensions later on. So you can basically just go ahead and add all of your dimensions here, and then you have one place where you can store all your dimensions and change them in here, which will potentially make your life a lot easier later on and will keep the whole application cleaner. All right, and then you can see I have something called IC action button add 24 dp, and this is an XML file that I want to have, but then I don't want to create the XML file myself. I would like it to be created for me. And in order to do so, you can go to File, New, and you can select Vector Assets. Here, this one, Vector Assets. And here you can select what you want to do, and I want to have it as a clip art. You can give it a name, and I'm going to call it IC_action_add_24dp. Once you've given it the name, you can click on clip art, and then you can select the clip art that you want to use. And I want to use this add button here. You can even enter add here, and you can see there are a bunch of add buttons, potentially add box, add circle, and so forth. But I just want to use this add here. And then you can select the color. And I would like to use white here. So you can also just enter 6 times F, and that will give you this white color. You can of course also select a color from here. All right. The size is going to be 24 dp times 24 dp. I'm going to leave it as that. All right, and that's going to be the plus button, but it changed the name, so I'm just going to change the name back to IC action add 24 dp. I'm going to press next, and as you can see, it creates this new drawable. So I'm going to add finish here. All right, so when you look at the drawable folder, you will see that you have this new action button here, which has this certain width, a viewport, uses a certain height for the vector, and then what's the most interesting part is this path here. So it creates this path data. You can see this is something that you couldn't come up with probably, or at least I couldn't, and then this will basically create this plus sign. So you can create any type of icon that you want for your drawables that you can then use in your applications. All right, the next thing that I need to add is an activity, because we will need to have a new add activity here. So let's go ahead and create an empty activity. I'm going to call this one add happy place activity, because in there we want to be able to add a happy place. All right, now that we have that, let's go to our manifest, our Android manifest file. And here we have the activity that was created for us. So this happy places activity, and I want to define some settings in here. So for example, I want to make sure that this activity is going to always be in portrait mode. So screen orientation is going to be in portrait mode. Portrait. Then I'm going to add a little label here, Android label, add happy place, and the theme, I would like to use a certain style here, add style, and here I would like to use a custom no action bar theme. Now of course this theme doesn't exist, and we need to add that theme. So let's go ahead and create this theme. Cannot resolve this, so let's go to our styles.xml, and in here we can create our very own style. Let's do that real quick. So we give this a name. I'm going to call this one custom no action bar theme, and it's going to be using the parent called no action, actually here add style slash theme dot app compat dot light dot no action bar, and it's this one here. Okay, here parent style theme app compat light no action bar. All right, and in this style I would like to just have one item which will have the name Android status bar color, and I'm gonna set that as color primary, and maybe actually color primary dark. So it's going to use this color, even though actually if I look at it now, I can see that this is the darker color. So let's do it the other way around. All right, like this. So this is the darker color of the blue color, so to speak. So I think this makes a lot more sense. All right, now I have this style that I'm using here for my custom action bar, which will basically just be a light action bar, no action bar, but I'm using my own color. So that's how you can adjust it to use your color palette, because that's what we want, right? We want to keep it all very clean and adjustable and maintainable. I would like to add another style in here, which will have the name custom toolbar style. And in there, I would like to have two items. So one will be the text color primary. And that will be set to white. So I'm going to set that to hash 6 times F. And then another one, so I'm just going to copy this item. I'm going to put that underneath it. So here, this item will be the color control normal. And of course here, I have to be careful that the styles don't close here in between. So the whole file needs to be clean, and that's how it's going to look. So we have style, item text color primary, and color control normal. So I'm going to use this style in order to then use my custom toolbars later on. And where do I want to use it? Well, I would like to use it in my Happy Places activity. So here in this activity right there. So I'm just going to add a toolbar in here. Toolbar. So this app compat widget toolbar, and it's going to match the parent when it comes to the width, and it's only going to use the attribute action bar size. So it shouldn't be higher than the action bar size default value. That's what I'm saying with this. All right, and then what else do we need for the toolbar? Well, I would like to have an ID so that I can talk to it. So I'm going to give it an ID called toolbar add place. I'm going to give it a color, so a background color, and I'm going to use color primary here, and then a theme as well. So let's add a theme, which will be our custom theme that we just created. So style, custom toolbar style. And then of course it's still complaining because we haven't added any constraints here. So I'm gonna add the layout constraints. So this one is end to end of, so this one here, which I'm gonna set as parent. Then start to start off, which I'm gonna set as parent. And finally the top to top off, which will also be the parent. All right, now we can see that it's just going to be this toolbar that we have here at the top, toolbar add place. All right, so that's the setup for this video. In the next video, we are going to actually see it because currently we have no way of getting to this page. So this button here, of course, should lead us to this other page or this other activity. So there we are. These are the colors that we're using, and the plus button, of course, should lead us to this other page. But you can see we used this little icon that we created, and that's pretty cool. So here in our project, in the drawables folder, this little icon. All right, so this is the setup, and I'd say in the next video, we're going to add some more code so that we can finally actually do something and see something in this application. So see you there.